What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at an Episode 2 figure because that is so much the focus of this particular wave. We're taking a look at Jedi Knight version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we got him here in our standard Black Series packaging, figure in the window, artwork down there on the bottom. This guy is number 111, and then you've got a little bit of a write-up, more of that artwork on the back. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Episode 2 Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this one is a pretty interesting figure because, well, if you saw my Kit Fisto review, you've seen almost all of this figure already because they share the entire same body. And in that review, I knew that I had noticed the body from somewhere and just for some reason couldn't place it. It's the Episode 1 Obi-Wan Kenobi body. They are exactly the same. All of them, well, except for the hands on Kit, of course. But they are the same, so we know what's going on here as far as articulation goes. The big thing is that we've got a new head sculpt to talk about, which I think is kind of good and kind of not good, depending on how you're looking at it. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. We've got a head that can look up about that far, not too far, honestly. The hair really gets in the way on this figure. He can look down pretty good. You've got a little bit of tilt action, and then you've got full rotation. The neck is, of course, independently articulated, since it's got one of the newer head systems. Arms go out. They rotate. You do have your butterfly joint there. We've got a single rotating elbow, but it's one of those slightly deeper cuts, so it does go a little better than 90. We've got hinges and rotation at the wrist, and these are both side-to-side lateral hinges. You've got your waist cut here with the ball peg, so he goes backwards, forward a little bit, tilt side to side, and then rotation. Legs go out almost all the way. They kick forward, they kick backward. You've got your thigh cut up in there. We've got our double-jointed knees, and then we've got no boot cut as usual, rocker, and hinges down at those ankles. So he's pretty standard Black Series stuff. You know, we've got a few figures to base this on at this point. He's very Jedi standard, really, but at the same time, he does move pretty well. Don't really have any issues to speak of outside of the fact that he does struggle looking up. Now, as far as the overall look and feel here, he is, well, he's fine, I suppose. There's really not much to write home about. He's in neutral colors in a Jedi robe. And yeah, we've seen this body before. It's just different colors. So, you know, you've got some white on the inner robes, and then you've got the outer tunic that's kind of this kind of beige, sandy color almost, with the cream pants and then the shiny brown boots. You've got your painted belt with all kinds of bits and bobs and doodads on there with little metallic accents. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's the exact same figure, again, that we saw with Kit Fisto. It's the exact same figure if you've got the Episode 1 Obi-Wan. So it's a lot of parts reuse here. But it works fine. It definitely looks like him. The colors look good, and overall, I mean, it moves pretty well and it looks correct. The only real thing is that it's not necessarily a body that should be used with every Jedi because, of course, it's not the same height as everyone, but it works pretty well for Obi-Wan. He scales nicely with this particular frame amongst other figures in the same kind of era and timeline. The main thing with this figure, though, is obviously the head sculpt, and just the fact that this is yet another Obi-Wan head sculpt that's getting the photoreal treatment. So we got the Episode 1, we got the Clone Commander, and we'll do a comparison here shortly to all of them. But this one is unique because it does sport a specific look, because Obi-Wan's got the different hairstyle, he's got the beard, the whole deal, this time around in Episode 2. And in some instances, I think this looks pretty good. Like, from the side, that definitely looks like Ewan McGregor to me. Dead on, honestly, sometimes I kind of get like a Luke Perry vibe out of this thing. It doesn't look exactly right in all angles to me. I do think it's better than the Figuarts by quite a bit, and we will talk about that too. But I do have one criticism, a real one that truly matters, is what's going on with the hair here. There is a ton of gray paint all over the hair here, and I know it's not unique to mine, especially how heavy-handed it is. It seems to be a common thing. There's a lot of gray paint on the hair, and I can understand kind of what they're going for, but it just seems like there's way too much of it. It definitely throws off the hair, just the general color scheme. It brings out the sculpt, but it throws off the overall color palette. The rest of the head, though, I do think is pretty good. It does look better in certain angles to me than others, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to not see that. But in a general sense, I mean, it's a pretty solid head sculpt. It just kind of loses me in certain light. And then as far as accessories goes, we only get the one. We do get his lightsaber. So this is, you know, kind of time tested at this point. We've seen this a number of times. So we've got Obi-Wan's lightsaber with a blue blade that is removable, of course. Pop that out. And then you've got his hilt here with silver kind of metallic paint, black accents, and red accents. And then, as usual, you can pop it on his belt if you want to have him in an unignited, kind of casual setting. But you've got your standard stuff here. It's another one of those instances where I would love to get something else a slashing effect, a robe, anything to kind of fill out this package, because what, 90% of this figure is reuse. And then, of course, we have to take a look at some other Obi-Wans. I'm not going to throw in that old Revenge of the Sith one because it's terrible. So we've got our episode 1, episode 2, and arguably episode 3 here. And you can see there are marked differences between them. All of them hit that Ewan McGregor kind of look and feel pretty well. Some better than others. This one obviously being the standout for me, because I think this head is almost perfect, especially within the Black Series. This one still hits a few high points, but isn't quite there in some angles. And then this one I think is still quite good. So, you know, there's not really anything to compare to specifically, because they're all entirely different head sculpts, but you can get an idea of what we look like as far as the timeline goes for episode 1, 2, and 3-ish. And then, of course, we have to compare to the Figuarts. So we've got our Black Series here on the left, our Figuarts here on the right. And I've never been too thrilled with this Figuarts because the body's fine, he moves well, he comes with a bunch of stuff. But the face has always just been such a negative. It doesn't really look anything like Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor. It's just so off. So while I don't think that this one gets it 100% of the time, you know, it looks really good in certain angles, it's still the better face here, the better head sculpt for me, because this just doesn't cut it anymore. It's the worst of the Obi-Wans as far as the Figuarts line goes, and it's definitely not up to snuff compared to the new Hasbro offering. So overall, this is a pretty good figure. It definitely isn't groundbreaking by any means because, again, we have a lot of parts reuse here. We don't have a lot of accessories, but we do have a pretty solid head sculpt, if not for the fact that I don't think it's necessarily perfect in every angle. It's certainly a far cry from what we got in the old days of Black Series, because the photoreal is applied really nicely on this figure. The only real downside, the only real true negative that I have about this figure is whatever in the world is going on with the hair and that gray paint, because there's just too much of it. At the end of the day, there's plain and simple just too much of that gray paint, and it definitely throws him off a little bit. I'm gonna have to see if I can get some of that off somehow. But otherwise, though, he's a pretty solid Jedi figure. I do wish that he came with more stuff, you know, different hand or something, the actual Obi-Wan pose hand, or a robe, or a slashing effect, or anything, something to fill out this box, because, again, tons and tons of reuse here. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Episode 2 Obi-Wan. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.